Aunt Lee. So this is to dear Aunt Lee. Days we thought would not come for you are past. As we gather with an abiding sense of your presence, there are 1,000 topics to cover, remembering you. First is about love and how its stain spreads imperceptibly from the heart. We are a lucky people of a fortunate land, given to certain affection, and see ourselves peculiarly different from those not knowing such love. You called this the something special city and actually believed it, and helped make it so. We owe you thanks for public beaches and parks, a well-placed bridge, an unbroken view of the sky from any sector of our county where, as a 12-year-old, you and your lifelong friends rode bicycles on the beach, swam, explored, fished, and messed about the river in boats, and tramped through hammocks and sloughs. Who among us can say we've lived our whole lives in the places we were born, and in so doing found so much to love? That rare attribute comes only seldom from the human condition, and is to be prized like tomorrow's light upon shimmering burrows of mangrove and citrus wherever they remain. You did so much in your time women were not only not supposed to do, but simply couldn't, and always donned proper disguise. Your favorite, perhaps the electrifying countenance of one, as my grandfather would say, who didn't know she couldn't. And like him, always possessed vision you were unable to keep to yourself, that likewise included us all. We figured you invisible by the ground you covered on your paths through a male-dominated world, intractable as the western marshes of the county. The truth is, no radar has ever been fashioned that could keep track of you. You sprung from the stock of what used to be termed an old-world family of merchants, born with the requisite acumen and impulses to succeed 2 lifetimes in business. Even your adolescent lemonade stand pointed to this. The rest of your upbringing is history and achievement. By all accounts, you could take a man down when it was needed done. And by your prowess and skill, should have been a golf or tennis professional, and were easily mistaken as such on more than one occasion, as when asked for an autograph, happily signed your own name. Your prodigy in business took on a life of its own, a life you shared with your beloved Lucy, third on a list of most admired people, comprising 4, Mother Teresa, Sandra Day O'Connor, and your own mother. With a grub stake from Herschel Auction and advice from such mentors as Dan Richardson and E.G. Thatcher, the 2 of you joined into business, and Alma Lee's the clothier came into being. One more place for that incipient love to manifest, where any child of the county could embark, newly outfitted for the world. That Alma Lee's store smell, how it seeps from the creaking old pine floor of memory, and filled racks and shelves of the everyday, and what we found and drew upon ourselves. Uniforms, sportswear, formal apparel, you anticipated us with each fresh crop of clothes on buying trips. Atlanta to Miami, Lucy had to pick the frilly things at the shows, as it was well known you would have none of it. And we arrived at the end of the long summer, our household budgets in tow, children and adults alike received with that twinkle in your eye, as a perpetual cold cup of coffee sat waiting on your desk, and you among us in that blessed familiarity, never forgetting a name or face. You learned our sizes, knew what we would soon outgrow, and in turn saw the city we'd one day exceed. It was a natural thing for your love to bring you to public service, as it would anyone wanting to keep the world a better place. You campaigned for and won a seat, a woman's first, on the county commission, which you held 12 years in consecutive election, in time serving as chairman, and with the local politic grew your benevolence, always perceiving us working behind the scenes as you did in business in answer to the ways we change and grow. The list of your philanthropies calls to mind Homer's catalogs of ships in the Iliad, gardens and special lands, a lagoon, hospital, colleges and schools, museums, libraries, a theater, sports teams, activity and learning centers, social and business organizations, not-for-profit community boards, and a youth orchestra for underprivileged children. By your own ascendance, you set supreme example in advocacy of rights of women, and further mentored, supported, and led them to new places in unparalleled fashion of our 100-year history as a city and 200 years as a state. This was commemorated on the centennial of women's suffrage by your induction into the Florida Women's Hall of Fame. You became, as a friend spoke of you, a lovely older person. Refined as a fine varietal by your span of days. You were always publicly fair, knowledgeable of what was, and handled differences with the aplomb of a career diplomat. You were given the good sense to choose your fights and knew what to do when things took a hard turn. A beloved niece said, because she had faith, she always knew the right things would happen. She was my hero, and I was her star. I would do anything she wanted me to do because she told me I could. I'm certain she believed in me like no one else, but I can understand if everyone else she knew felt the same. What about romance? I asked one of her true intimates, who replied, she had loves and disappointments. Who hasn't? Yet one day something came to flower inside her. She chose to be married at last to the people and places of her something special city.